they don't call you back. The only time you get a response from them is when you go online, here's the video, and you kind of have to humiliate them a little bit. That's why we saw the change, a little bit of change that we saw at Mass and Cass. Myself and other people just kept recording. And then obviously now, one of the more richer neighborhoods, the South End, they were recording all the homelessness. They're paying higher taxes, higher rent, but yet you got Mass and Cass literally at their door. And the only reason why people even reacted from the offices was because it was election season and it's humiliating.
Reacted how?
Being upset, putting stuff on social media, tagging the mayor, tagging city councilors, basically humiliating them.
And what has that yielded in terms of change?
Well, it got a little change. It got people to, now you have more police officers at Mass and Cass than you didn't have before. You have them kind of like standing out there patrolling. I mean, it's for looks. I've literally gone down there to help friends give clothes and food, and you just see an officer just standing right there as they're shooting up. It's nice. It's a nice appearance, but you're not really doing anything. I literally, we're handing out clothes, we're handing out food. I'm just recording. A police officer literally comes around the corner. They just finished shooting up right in front of them. Didn't say a word. There's a young black girl standing behind the police vehicle, having an episode, just finished smoking crack and meth. Didn't even call it the EMS. Just like move along. So it's a nice appearance, but it did put a little bit more pressure on them to kind of somewhat do something.
Even if it's just optics.
Yeah, optics. But it shows you, like, when people do gather up and kind of, use technology as well, they will get up and do some stuff. But it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to make a phone call and make the complaints, and then someone should be doing a follow-up. Even with Columbia Road, with me constantly filming every other day, finding needles, 311 calls, calling John Fitzgerald, posting the videos up about where I found them at. Now you had cops over down there patrolling. It was literally a police van, and then they were shooting them away. But before, you wouldn't have seen them down there.
So what would you, so you would suggest that utilizing technology and being able to put stuff, exposing stuff,
right,
are the things that are going to push them to be able to do more. And so I think I hear you saying we need to do more of that, because even if it's just optics, right? How do we move beyond the optics to real addressing the issues and offering and doing something that's going to address the humanitarian crises, right? Because people are dealing with trauma, right? There's reasons why. So we have to, what's going on in Mass and Cass, right? Like, we've got it, and it's not just Mass and Cass. We see that's happening all across.
Yeah, it's spreading out.
So what would be your strategy to be, so you were elected, right? Or even as not a person who's not elected, what would be your strategy to be able to address the humanitarian crises that's happening and we'll say Mass and Cass and other places that it's happening all over across the...
Well, the good thing about being a protester and kind of knowing that the mayor and everyone else knows you by your name, I've gone to Mass and Cass and with my friends who have seen me stand up, recording, gone down there, and then we sit there and have a conversation. That's what you do. Like, when I think it was Erin Murphy and Ed Flynn went down there for a photo op, but you walked right past a bunch of homeless people. Did you ask them any questions?
Okay.
I mean, I think my first time running for city council back in 2023, me and Catherine, we went to an AA meeting and sat down and listened to those people. You have to enforce the laws that are already on the books. You can't just openly do drugs if they were being arrested and prosecuted and then getting some help. I was even I think it was in court. The judge said, "Hey, we can get you help, but you can't be out here doing what you're doing by shooting up." You literally had a woman at the AA meeting and she said she thanks the cop from approaching her, patting her down and finding the drugs. Because when she did be prosecuted, they've even said being in jail kept them off the streets, and then they can get into programs to help clean themselves out, because now you don't have the temptation. We have the resources right now, you just choose not to implement them.
Let me ask you this, as unfortunate, I don't know if you're cognizant of the most recent I'm cognizant of, that's raised a lot of focus at the Suffolk County House of Correction.
I heard that one.
The person that was in custody,
yes,
whom had some mental health challenges, whom many people who witnessed what transpired are saying that this man was killed basically at the hands of the custody and care of correctional officers, right? So, you know, the violence that happens, even people who are in custody and care under the guise to get care.
Of course.
And this person could have been bailed out, but didn't have the resources to get bailed out, and is dead.
Right.
And that's just one situation
that's one
that just raised many other injustices that have happened. So how do you reconcile? How do we address that?
You address that by making sure that you're going in and doing inspections, not just showing up when you have a problem. I mean, I was already know about that because, again, the same people I go down to Mass and Cath with, or the individuals I've met through my protesting, they tell me all these stories. But where's our elected leaders to go in there? Where are the people, where the inspectors to go in there when someone says something's going wrong? I can kind of understand when you have people making excuses because, you know, you're trying to get out of trouble or you're trying to get someone into trouble. But you still need to go treat it as it's serious. I don't care if that person made 50 false claims. You still go in there 51, go in 52 to make sure everything's all right, and making sure that you have people who are going in there that understand you have a job and you have a responsibility. If you don't do that job, we're going to hold you accountable for your failure not doing that job.
Who can hold them accountable? Because let me just pose this because as you talk about elected officials, like I go behind there often, right? And we right now are not allowed to bring in elected officials, right? Because they're investigating. But how do you investigate when you're the same entity that facilitated the arrest?
Right.
And are you going to hold accountable the folks who work for you, or just cover it and move them? And then when people call you out and say, I saw you, who have the courage to say, I saw you and what you did was wrong, and now you're experiencing retaliation from the officers who were showing up and saying, you know, you're a snitch, or I'm going to beat you down, you know, and no one's going to see it because it's behind the wall. Right. You don't have your cameras to be able to come behind the wall and show what you can show in community.
Right. Well, that's another problem because, again, how can you hold those accountable like we see with the police? You make a report against them, nothing ever happens because they're protected. But we need to go behind that. We have elected officials. They can go down there if they want to. And, you know, we see right now with ICE, they have no problem going out inside of a protest and calling their media friends and holding a press conference right in front of the building. They have the ability to go do this. It's just that they're not used to be held accountable. It's just kind of get it going through the motion. But you can go do that. You can go make a request and say, I need to go down there.
Okay, I'm hearing you.
I understand. Like, if our system works perfectly, that's all you need to do. But they can make it happen. I mean, they are elected officials. They appoint a lot of these individuals to their stations. That means if you appointed them, that means you have some power over them. So if they really wanted to go down there and say, let's do an inspection, you can go down there and do an inspection, regardless of what the red tape is. For me, I find it's just an excuse. Because if I wanted to go down there, okay, fine. We're going to play the red tape. I'll take you to court then. There's ways of getting it done, but we're so used to hearing the excuses that how can we hold them accountable? Michelle Wu can hold anyone that she appoints accountable because she's the one who hired them. Whatever department that you're in, you got appointed. You're someone's employee.
I mean, in some regards, let me just for a point of clarification. I hear what you're saying. I will say that only because we're in the process of advocating for our people who are directly impacted, right? In this particular situation, in terms of, and my understanding is the correctional officers are unionized and they actually work for the sheriff. Interesting enough, right? So the mayor, even though she's the mayor of the city and the House of Correction falls within the Suffolk County of the city, the truth of the matter is what I've learned in this process is that there's, you know, really this is a state thing, right? Right. So so state legislatures and those kind of folks like Representative Holmes and Miranda, other folks who are on a state level, unfortunately, are the people who really have the power to really be able to hold accountable the elected sheriff.
Right.
Because the sheriff is elected.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. That was just an example I just used with Michelle Wu. But again, State House, that falls under them. Yeah. That was just an example. Okay. If you're an elected official, either on the city level, on the state level, even federal, you still answer to somebody.
Correct.
So again, I think someone even said, like, Liz Miranda was supposed to go down there, and she claims that she alleges that she goes down there to go inspect. So that was her responsibility. How often she goes down there, I don't know. But there's still a mechanism in place where you can go down there and inspect it. Again, the example I used with Michelle Wu, it's just meaning like when you're an appointed person.
Sure. No, I understand. I just want to make clarity for folks who want, so they understand in the context of what we're talking about at the House of Correction, because I'm learning, right? And even I found, because that OPAT, that's the city's oversight of police, has no jurisdiction over correctional officers at the throughout the, who under any sheriff across the entire DOC.
Right.
So that was interesting to understand. So the accountability falls with the sheriff,
correct,
who we elect. And this is the reason why we have to be civically engaged. And people need to understand that you could actually run for elected office, even if you're incarcerated, even if you're serving a felony.
Right.
Now, though you can't vote for, right, as it stands right now in Massachusetts, you cannot vote for the president, right, if you're presently serving a felony conviction.
Right.
But we're looking at some legislation to actually change that, because in Massachusetts you could do that whether you were serving a felony conviction, period, and that was taken from people in 2000. The truth of it was a Republican administration. It was Salucci, and this is not a partisan thing whether it's Republican or Democrat, because that ebbs and that flows. I'm just communicating the fact. I don't know if you're cognizant.
I remember that.
Up until 2000, that was stripped from people who are incarcerated. And now we're working to put that right back in place, because we think that everybody should have the right to participate in democracy, whether you're serving a felony conviction or not. Clearly, right now, we have the president of the United States that's convicted of what? I think 43 felony convictions?
34.
34. I got them inverted.
Right.
But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. About that. I kind of had my questions about that, because I kind of have that natural kind of observation when people do something things, and it's like, who's pushing it? Why are you doing it? Those are my questions. I kind of felt like you're trying to create more voters, basically, in my way, my point of view.
Okay.
When we choose to go break the laws, we choose to make those decisions where certain rights are stripped away for us to where we're being imprisoned somewhere. That's my personal.
So you think people don't? You think they don't deserve the right to vote if you're incarcerated?
Yes, that's my opinion.
Okay. All right. And I appreciate your perspective. I hear you. With that said, how do you reconcile that with being able to run the highest office in the land with 34 felony convictions?
Well, you have to look at those convictions. Everyone likes to repeat that, but you don't actually want to do the actual investigation. Those weren't even real. Those were more white collar, but not really felony. Those were like stuff that if you look at the prosecutor, when she was running, she said, "I'm gonna convict him already." Even before she was in the seat.
I mean, I don't. Again, in terms of when the person's convicted of a felony, all the nuances in terms of how a person, the bias and all the other kind of things. The point is they're convicted.
Let me give you an example. I'm in court right now.
Okay.
I've been in court for going on 4 years for my arrest at the Ronan Park.
Okay.
Now, I wasn't doing anything but protesting Michelle Wu. She had a squad of police officers who I was standing in front of, wasn't trying to get past them. Yeah. But because I was saying things that she didn't like, we literally have on tape that administrator, Breonna Miller, walked over to the sergeant and the captain and chose to have them take my megaphone illegally.
Okay.
Now, that's still in court right now.
Okay.
That should have been dismissed or dealt with within that year, because they charged me with resisting arrest, even though they never told me I was under arrest. It just latched on to me, tried to take my megaphone with no legal standing, and then disturbing the peace. That should have been dealt with within that year, but it's still dragging on. We have individuals who are not holding up the actual law, other than using their positions to cause chaos and by abusing their authority. Because we look at like who is Suffolk County's DA, Kevin Hayden, who was also endorsed Michelle Wu in this last election.
Okay.
And we look at this stuff is, why is it that you have individuals who can literally walk up to police officers, assault them, but yet their cases are dismissed within a year? Like, for example, the last protest that we had, I guess, involving ICE in downtown Crossing, they assaulted 6 police officers.
Who's they?
I guess you can say like the radical left, the individuals who are protesting against Trump and ICE. Their protesters are usually not even peaceful. You assaulted 6 police officers, sent them into the hospital, but yet found out their cases have been dismissed. But yet you're going to tell me that my cases that not involve me being violent, but standing there using my voice, but yet I'm still in court for 4 years.
Okay.
So we see these things.
So, but again, so what I hear you saying is you feel that there's biases and there's injustice in the notion of our justice system.
Of course.
So if that be the case, though, right, we can't have it both ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways, but you need to actually go the level of the law. Because it's literally, I was recording, other people around me were recording, we had a photographer. There was more than enough evidence, like, for what, me standing still.
Right, no, I can't speak to your specific situation.
Yeah, my specific, but what we see people, like, if you take your bias away, like I tell people, if you take away your Trump derangement syndrome and put that in your pocket and actually listen to multiple sources, you're going to find that those cases are about to be removed themselves, because even the appeals court says, like, what are you talking about? Why is this even here? Who was your victim? You can't even ask any of those basic questions. You had 4 mothers arrested in front of Michelle Wu's house. 2 of them were dismissed that day. I think the next time they were chosen in court, but because 2 of them were on Michelle Wu's hit list, they dragged that out for 2 years.
Okay.
And then originally they were arrested for willful violation of an ordinance, which is on the state level. It's still in the law if you violate a city ordinance. Mm-hmm. They first started with that, but then they don't want it to be prosecuted on that because you're violating the Constitution. Then they changed their charges to disturbing the peace.
Okay.
2 years for disturbing the peace in court. And it probably would have gone even longer if they didn't represent themselves in court. Okay. But we see how that bias is going on, that you're affecting certain people.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. I'm still challenged with the notion that you feel that a person, if they're incarcerated, first of all, there are many people. For instance, this gentleman whose life was taken, Shakobi Kinney, he was not even convicted, right? He wasn't even convicted, right? Because you haven't even gone to court, right? So you're not sentenced. You could be out on bail if you just had money. Right? But because you didn't have money, right? You were actually at the hands of, again, from what we understand from the folks who witnessed it, they were judge and jury and executioner.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm saying that should never even happen. You just know that it was their fault. The fact that I've heard the stories from my friends in the media, like they were people who witnessed it were rushed off, put in isolation. That just right there tells you that someone is guilty right there. But we do have the mechanism to go do these things. But what we see in our government, and I always tell it, is they do not run our cities very well.
No. Hear me out. So the point I was trying to say is, so for that young man, Shakobi Kinney, whose life was taken, right, was not convicted. But,
no, I understand that. Like,
but hear me out. I heard you say that you don't think if a person is incarcerated that they deserve the right to vote.
Yeah.
So if he's incarcerated but he's not convicted, but yet he can't vote.
No, so if he's incarcerated, like he's been, he's had his time in court and he was convicted guilty and he's in there, I don't believe that you should have the right to vote. You kind of forfeited your rights when you broke the law. But if you are being retained in court, like say like you can't make the bail, that's something different. You can always make a law that says if you're not convicted, you're just being stuck in jail because you can't pay the bail. That's something completely different. That's kind of like 2 different things. Like, for example, if I couldn't make my $2,000 bail and I had to go sit in jail until my court hearings, then I would agree. Again, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty, supposedly.
Allegedly, right?
Right. But then I would have no problem saying, like, if you're not convicted and you're, unfortunately, in jail, yes, you should have the right to vote. Either someone comes in there and collects your vote and then walk out, that's fine. But
so let's go this way. So if that's how you feel, but if a person is convicted of a misdemeanor, because what you're saying I don't believe is a felony, what your particular situation that's been dragged out, right, is not a felony.
Yeah.
It's a misdemeanor, right? So, but whether you're convicted, right, of a misdemeanor or a felony, are you saying that if you're convicted, you don't deserve the right to participate in democracy?
Yes, I do. This is the reason why you go to prison. You're not there because, well...
But you just said sometimes there's bias, and sometimes people are wrongfully convicted. People are people.
You're right.
People have been released who they've been proven that they were wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, I would.
So if you strip the right from them and they've been wrongfully convicted, then you've denied them the process. But then you found out they were not, and you just said even with President Trump, you don't feel that those convictions are legitimate, but yet they're there.
Yeah, they're there.
So,
but my point, I think, where we're going to skew it is, while you're convicted, I'm talking about your time in court, the evidence at the time showed that you were guilty. Remember, you having 12 people making your decision, and we know like it doesn't always work. Being in the court system myself, my lawyer has been teaching me a lot of time. It's about optics. He doesn't like me, cussing and swearing at the police, but even though I have the legal right to go do so, it doesn't look good to the jury, because you don't know if that person is like, oh, I'm for the blue, or well, you shouldn't have been talking back to them because it's like that you just earned your right into jail, even though we know I can say whatever I want as long as I'm not threatening you. It's all about optics. He tells me dress up in a suit, makes you look good in front of the judge and the jury. But what we're talking about is we can make those changes. If you're in there, again, we don't know if you were innocent the entire time. Like you said, it's years and decades by the time we get real new information that shows that, oh, you've been innocent this entire time. I think we just saw another black man who's wrongfully convicted, sat in jail for close to over 2 decades, and he lost those rights. But that's only because of the information that we had. If it was legit, because I think, we understand like DAs and the officers are not perfect. A lot of them have flaws. But to that information, if I got convicted right now, I have people talking about, oh, well, you did X, Y, and Z, Sean, you should be locked up. But I wouldn't argue about if I got locked up for those petty charges, oh, I can't vote. Then I can't vote. I understood if I actually committed a serious crime, even a misdemeanor, that period of time, you are not going to have your rights. This is the reason why you go to prison. Prison's not supposed to be a getaway kind of camp. It's supposed to be you not wanting to go there. It's not the place that you want. That's what keeps us in line, because we don't want to go to prison and lose our rights and our abilities to have our freedoms. That's why it's a deterrent. Is it wrong that there's a lot of stuff that goes on there that needs to be corrected? Of course. But we have officials that don't go there, who don't listen to the individual. Like I said, I don't care if this person is constantly making false allegations. You still show up. For all you know, you missed it several times until guess what? This one more time that you didn't show up, you have somebody who's now dead in that correctional officer. And it should never have to be. I've read the stories and I've heard the people that was out there. I have 2 friends who are dedicated to that story. And the fact that you just rush people off and the people who witnessed it, they're all in isolation, that just tells me you're guilty. We all know what goes behind in these jails, these prisons and jails. But we have individuals, like if you did your job in inspections and it showed up, make sure we keep talking about transparency and accountability, but we don't see it until we have to force your hand. Either some huge mob or it's you going on social media and exposing people.
Okay. So with that said, let's shift to where you at now. So with regard to your, so that was for District 7.
Yes.
And did you do a sticker campaign? Did you do the regular? Did you get your signatures in? What was your campaign?
My campaign was the regular. I didn't, I got my signatures. I wasn't going to do, I think in Boston, you can't really do a write-in unless you're someone who's very popular and everyone knows your name is like literally just all over the place. Like people just,
yeah. It's very difficult. But people have done,
you have done it.
write-ins, but in fact, I don't think it's ever been done successfully.
Yeah, maybe like in a very small, quaint town when everyone kind of knows each other.
But here in Boston.
Yeah, but not in Boston. It's too massive. No, I got my signatures. Oh my God, I killed my feet. I would leave the house at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, go collect signatures, and not come back until like 5 or 6.
How many signatures do you need to do district?
District, it's 200. And then for a city council at large, it's 1,500, which is half what the mayor has to get. So, I'm sorry. Then it's 3,000 to run as mayor.
How many votes did you get?
I believe it was like around 500, 600.
Great. So, so there are some folks who are actually With it, so let me just catch some. There's some comments here that I want to acknowledge on our main web page. So, our sister Michelle said Trump was. Oh man, I need my glasses. This is too funny. That I'm at that age. Whoa! That I definitely need my glasses for the small print. All right, here we go. So she says Trump was convicted, trial and short of sentencing, won the presidency and got away from getting his due justice. Convicted, she said. Trump was convicted. And she says, don't the laws apply to them too as humans? So why not give them the opportunity to have their say? Is this person running for some kind of government? She's asking you. She's a few minutes late. So that actually, yes. So this is Sean Nelson, who was running for District 7 city councilor, and he's now here telling us about his campaign and his position and his platform and where he's at now. And that's a great segue for us to for you to share with us, where are you now in terms of, what are your plans moving forward, since you weren't successful in being able to become a District 7 city councilor?
So for that question, I will be running for Congressional District 7 and Giannis Presley's seat for Congress.
When is that?
They pull papers on February 10th.
February 10th.
Yes.
Pull papers.
So basically, you get the signatures. Just like with the city council and everything else, you need to get the signatures from the people within your district to get on the ballot.
How many signatures do you need?
It's 2,000.
2,000. That's for congressional. And so that's your move. That's what you're doing. And that will be you identify as Republican, yes?
No, I'm independent.
Independent. Okay, thank you for that clarity. So independent. And so the election will actually happen when?
This upcoming November. It's going to be the midterm elections.
Okay, and how long is the term of that congressional seat?
The House is 2 years. Every 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And so, what is your platform, and what do you intend to do? In that position, what your platform?
Well, my platform is going to be it's going to be about the people, being a constituent and trying to have my voices heard by my elected officials and being ignored. And I don't like that. I look at all these people, like when I began protesting, let's say with the COVID stuff, she attacked me in my group. Dianne Presley. She had written a press release with all the elected officials from city council and state house condemning the protest, the hateful and racist, misogynist protest of Michelle Wu. She's never even met us. But yet she wrote that statement, even though the entire group was this diverse group. You had blacks, you had gays, you had women, you had mothers, you had immigrants, you had all kinds of people, even other Asians. But she never came and talked to us, but she was quick to put that out. And when I was attacked outside of her event in Somerville by her supporters' sons, she never checked in on me. That story went published. I was her constituent. And it was even published I was her constituent. She never called me to see if I was okay. And I was right outside of her event. They attacked at City Hall back in 2020. Those were her supporters. And the city council supporters that they brought in there to back up Arroyo. So how can I support you when you keep talking about, you hear about black and brown people, but yet I've been arrested multiple times by your fellow Democratic sister. I've been defamation against me. You hear people talking about, oh, he puts his hand on women. No, I don't. I will defend myself. I don't care what you identify as. But they don't even do that. Just today, when we were doing the switch out, the same person that you had here before never helped me.
Never helped you? Never
helped me. Okay. And when I tried to explain the situation which she already are fully aware of, she keeps talking over me. She's never invited me to City Hall to have a conversation. Even Tanya and Fernanda Anderson. She keeps talking about how she's here for black people. When I was wrongfully arrested, where was the Black Lives Matter then? But when you go to these individuals, they'll use the emotional manipulation. They'll use identity politics. And unfortunately, too many of us fall for it. My platform is basically public safety, listening to the people. No more of these agendas that have nothing to do with us. We have too much problems going on in Massachusetts. We have fraud, high costs of living here. People are moving out. We keep moving up and up as to states that can't sustain its people. People are literally packing up and moving not only out of Boston, but also out of Massachusetts. And for some of us who can't move, you're stuck here. I believe they just try to pass a restriction how far that you can actually drive in Massachusetts. It's ridiculous. You know how people who have to drive all over the state to go to work, pick up their kids, and you're putting a restriction on that as well? We just need people who are going to actually think about the individuals who are elected them into office and everybody, and not just, this select few of people that will vote for you.
Well, it's interesting because the guest who was before me was Julia Mejia, and she was articulating in the interview the importance of us building a broad-based coalition, right? And us being able to talk to people whom maybe we have to work through difficult conversations, right? And so and pointing the finger at each other, right? Like, because that's the easy thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
Right. The hard thing is to be able to take the low road and to be able to take the humble road, and even if you feel justified, right, by being able, and as a believer, right, I'm always going to take that role, right, because I believe that's just impactful, right? Is to give folks some grace, to be able to be maybe the initiator of reconciliation or even communication, because sometimes it's misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a firmer believer. One of my strengths is I give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you heard something else or whatever it is, but our elected officials, one in City Hall, State House, they've all had their moments to go talk to me, but they don't. But when I didn't blast them online, then they have a problem with me. You had your chance to go like this. You had a chance to invite me in to have a conversation, but yet you don't. And these are serious issues. You have a black man who's been arrested for just using my voice, not being violent.
Okay.
Other than 2022, I don't even have a criminal record. It was spotless.
Okay.
But because I choose to use my voice against certain people, never been violent, never assaulted a police officer, never any property damage, destruction or anything. But yet I'm being arrested for silly charges that should be dismissed within a year or so, but yet they're being still dragged out. And when you go to these individuals that talk about all for all and everyone has the right to free speech, that's all you're getting. I think everyone has the right to free speech. But what about what's the word I'm looking for? Speaking down about people abusing their authority. Just like this past summer when Michelle Wu had her press conference on City Plaza, I was arrested on the sidewalk, nowhere near her, for using my megaphone. Okay.
No, and I've heard you mention that on a few occasions. So I'm curious, and I'm just gonna again, I'm engaged you on a few occasions, right? Here primarily, right, in your candidacy in the community, and I'm here at Healing on Land. I'm going to always be inclusive,
of course,
right, and bring people, whether I agree, whether I don't agree. That's not the position, right? Even when we go behind the wall, we're nonpartisan. Right. We bring every candidate, and we don't even articulate. I can't even endorse. I can't even support because I want to always be nonpartisan,
as it should be.
With that said, so I had every person who ran for office, and whether they were elected or not, to now come on and talk about their campaign and what they're proposing to do. And so she came, and you came, and I'm grateful that we had a couple of challenges in terms of having to reschedule, but we're here.
Right.
But
I appreciate that.
And likewise. But I do have to say, that when she said hello, you didn't say hello.
Yeah, I didn't. Like I said, I play it real. She had her opportunities to get involved with my problems, but she has not.
So that's gone forever.
That is gone. Even I think one other person, we were at a meeting in Blue Hill Avenue, the Linear Community Center. Oh, Sean, come over and talk to her. I'm like, no, I don't. She's had her opportunities. I've been to events where she's at. I've been talking to her. But yet she still doesn't, and again, has not invited me to, oh, Sean, let's sit down and have this conversation. How can I help you? Nothing. I even went to Tanya Fernanda Anderson a year after making an appointment. Nothing has happened.
How does that happen? How does it ever change?
Yeah, it didn't change because, again, if this was like something that they could, use for their advantage, then oh yeah, you'll be seeing the protest, you'll be seeing the signs out there. Like I said, they'll be calling on.
No, but I guess I'm saying in this particular instance. So you said she's missed her opportunity.
Right.
So you'll never speak to her again.
Nope.
It's just done.
It's done. You, like I said, you had your opportunity. This is not. I can understand if I never talked to her, but I have talked to her. I've been in the same spaces with her. I remember it was like probably 2024, where in some event she walks over to me, and I'm trying to explain to her what's going on, and she will not stop talking. She keeps talking over me. I'm in court right now. She thinks because she voted against that ordinance that said you can't protest from a certain time in a residential neighborhood, oh, that was all fine and dandy. But you do realize that people were literally arrested for that ordinance and dragged through court for 2+ years.
Okay.
Where was the all for all then? Where was that? That was a gross misjustice going on with the Boston police, the mayor, and West Roxbury Courthouse.
And what can she do?
She could have used her voice. She could have made phone calls. She could have spoken up. Why? She could have said, for the ones who are sitting in city council who voted for this ordinance, let me remind you, 4 mothers, 4 women, peacefully protesting in front of the mayor's house for an ordinance that violates the highest law, the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I want you to understand, this was the effect of it.
Okay.
But she couldn't even do that.
Okay.
She couldn't even make a phone call to Kevin Hayden. Like, why is Sean Nelson being dragged to court? Why are these people being dragged to court? But we're all for all. But and I also look at the fact that, oh, you're being selective about what rules and who can speak and who cannot speak. You see most of these people who you say are on the radical left, they can sit up and destroy the entire area and they'll be let free. But yet let me stand still and be peaceful and voice my concern to whoever. Oh, here comes the cops with some kind of cockamamie thing that they're throwing together. When I was arrested, they said like willful violation of something, but then going into the courtroom there, oh, it's disturbing the peace. How am I disturbing the peace when it's been ruled on multiple times? As long as I'm peacefully protesting, cannot be disturbing the peace.
I hear you. So let me get some of the more comments here. So Michelle says you're running for. She says Ayanna Presley seat. This is my district. She says okay, and she says, why should I vote for you? Is her question. So before you answer that one, she says another thing she says is we need to be able to reach across the aisle while in public office. Scary if you can't. But yeah, so that was just a point. But can you answer her question? And I guess for anybody else who is tuned into the broadcast as to why should they vote for you for that what's the seat again? Congress.
No, it's Congress, but House of Representatives.
House of Representatives. Okay.
Well, the reason why I'm going to ask you for your vote is because you want somebody that, you know, when you call their office, they're going to actually help you. They're going to actually try to figure out how we can assist you. We can have town hall meetings. You can actually voice your concern, not hiding behind a computer. My biggest thing has always been, I want to help people. That's why I've gotten into the medical field. That's why I volunteer with my friends to go to Mass and Cass. And I've taken the time to actually listen to the regular people, not someone who's going to give me a great little, you know, headline in the newspaper. Secondly is, yes, I will work with anybody. I don't care. That's why I'm running as independent. I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I can say and tell you right now, both of them are a problem. But there are individuals in our government that are trying to do their best, but they're overshadowed because they're in a position where they step out of line, they're not going to have that seat again. They're not going to have that power again. I'll give an example. It's John Fetterman. When he came into Congress, I was like everybody else. How did this guy get into Congress? But the more I hear from him, he's thinking about the people first, not his party. That's why someone I would work with. I can work with anybody. That's one of the biggest things. I want people to understand that, to bring it back, is these are elected officials. They're public servants. We're here to serve you. And I feel like a lot of them don't. That's why a lot of people don't vote. That's one of the many reasons, because you vote for somebody, once they're in office, you don't hear back from them again until it's election season. That's one of many complaints I hear, especially in the black community. Oh, they only show up when they want to vote, but yet you still voted for them or you didn't vote. So that's why we're stuck with this individual now. My thing is, like I said, I want my office to be set up to help everyone, even if you're not even in my district. Because we don't have, if I had someone I can call to get some backup, that would be great, but I can't, because they're not going to do anything. Because I'm not on your political side, you're not going to give me the time of the day. And it's been proven time and time again. I have videos of talking to my own representatives. You didn't do anything. There was a representative that got elected, I think, a year later. He was there the entire time, saw me being tackled, but he would be quick talking about me for my black and brown constituent. But you would just walk right past and didn't say anything. And then when it was discovered that you were there, he laughed out loud to one of my friends when she pointed out you would just walk right past, and then gave me an excuse to talk about, oh well, we've been in the same spaces. So if I wouldn't recognize you, my attention's been on Michelle Wu and her administration, but we were in the same spaces, why didn't you pull me off to the side and have that conversation? Because I'm not on your political side, so you can't really exploit anything from me. And I'm tired of that. You should be treating every person as if their problems is very important to you and how we can resolve it. That's why I'm running for office, because everyone, again, we all complain, but we don't do anything. And when we're looking at Massachusetts voting records, these people don't have anyone running against them. We have too much of this game of, well, like last year, I went and got my ballot sheet, and I looked at it. Most of everyone did not have anyone else running against them. And that's why they get reelected until, like, well, either unfortunately they get a scandal, or it's time for them to step down, or they move into another seat and someone else has already been picked. I'm running because I also want to show people it's not that complicated. I'm a single person. I was born and raised in Boston, but my family's from the South. It's just me. So if I can get on the ballot, you guys all have mothers, fathers, friends, all kinds of networks, but a single person like myself can go run. It's also to demonstrate you don't need to go to college. You don't need to be this big important person. As long as you care and you want to do some change, anyone can run for office. That's all I want. I just want people to understand, like, they're public servants. They should be serving you. You should feel comfortable that I can pick up the phone, call that office, and they get back to you in a reasonable amount of time to see, okay, this is what we got for you. This is how we can help you. But just not, going along with party lines and helping kind of create this chaos that we're seeing right now in our country.
I mean, I totally agree with the notion. I'm also independent, and I would encourage people to be independent. I think the two-party system has crippled us. I think it's two different sides of the same coin in many instances. So I do agree that and we need to be able to look at the candidate, who is the person, right? Because there are people who I've identified as Republicans whom I've aligned with their values, with their principles, right? There's been people whom have identified as Democrats who I've aligned with. There's people who've been independent, right? So it's been the candidate and their platform and who they are that's going to be accessible, that's going to do what you said you were going to do, right? That's what I'm looking for. And so I totally agree and encourage in people. I hear a lot of people who are loyal to parties, and the parties have changed over time in terms of their ideologies, right? So I don't personally feel like being loyal to a party is the thing that we should be able to do. That's not going to bode us well with really moving to the notion of democracy. I do agree with democracy, right? That doesn't mean the Democratic Party is going to facilitate democracy necessarily. Because in many instances, to your point, the two-party system really is about money. And who's the money behind funding the candidates?
Well, you can always go to OCF, because
what's OCF?
The Office of Financial Publication for the politicians. So anytime that you get a donation, you spend money, your treasurer or that candidate should be logging it in. And like I said, my two friends, Brian Foley, Catherine Vitale, they have no problem going up online and finding out who donated who. You'll find people that you don't work, but yet you donate a lot amounts of money. I think I was just watching an old clip from John O'Keefe. Like, he does a lot of
investigative,
undercover investigation, where he gets these public officials who are just spilling the beans about stuff that should not be talked about on dates. And he was looking at ActBlue, which is a Democratic donation site, and he discovered that they're taking people's information, like you and me. Let's say we make one donation to whoever on the Democratic side. They're duplicating your information and then running it through different people's accounts.
Really?
Right. And it's like, wow, people didn't know that, because he also interviewed people like, an elderly person, and you asked them, like, well, how much money did you donate? And here's the total, like it's $5,000. Like, there's no way I donated. I did it maybe once. And you probably even donated. They probably got you signed up on something, and they just copied your information and duplicated your name just to put money into people's these accounts.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's amazing how, again, it's like independent reporters like that are the ones who are discovering these stories. But just to correct you, we have it's right now the major two parties obviously is Republicans and Democrats, but there are other parties out there. I think there's a total of 7 right now.
Oh, yeah. However, with that said, we've never, I don't think, right, like our two-party system, right, our president, right, has always been one of those two parties, right? So though we have many parties, right, none of they really all, and it's to your point, right, many instances, none of those parties even get platformed, never even get invited to the debates. It's just the Democrat and the Republican. Right. It's not independent. Many times not even an independent. Green Party, some of these other parties don't get even talked about and have never raised to actually securing a position.
They never have.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
So those are the two-party systems that get elevated
even
and have run this country.
Yeah, even now when people are talking about running for office, they're told by their friends and some people who do run and have help to say, oh, you got to go run as Democrat, at least in Boston, if to be even considered.
I mean, it's the reputation has, it's largely been a Democratic, a blue state, right? We've had people who have been who successful, to my point, who've been the governor who were Republicans, right? So that has happened, but it has been those people in many instances, I think, again, that people voted for them because of their platform, not because of the party.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see, especially in this last election, I've noticed like take Rootsy, when she first came into office, at least when I first noticed her, she was, anytime she had an interview, which I disagree with, the media can also influencing people, because city level is nonpartisan, so there should be no D, there should be no R next to your name. But she was on the roll, but when she came for her re-election, she put the word Democrat really over her head. Some of the D7 people did the same thing, Democrat, because they were hoping to just get that Democratic vote. But even though city council is nonpartisan.
I mean, city council is nonpartisan, but the party that they represent to be elected, they chose that to be the Democrat or Republican or independent. So once you can run, and even as we do nonpartisan, the way that it's set up, going behind the wall, right? People have to choose. Right, a party, right, because ultimately you in the preliminary, right, you can, but once you've got to decide, because you're going to whittle it down to who are going to be the people representing those parties, right, and so the system, the way that it's designed, but we really got like 4 minutes, and so we'll have to continue the conversation. Let me say this: so with your platform that you are running. If people are interested in supporting your campaign, if they're interested in learning more about your platform, how can they do that? Right
now, you can reach me on my personal email. Brian setting up the website. My personal email is just my name in reverse. Nelson Shawn, SHAWN, the number 4 @gmail.com.
Okay. So that's the way they can reach you right now, because again, you haven't, and again, you're running for
Congress. Additional Congress, District 7.
District 7.
Sorry, my mind's
blanking.
No, my mind's blanking.
Listen, that's all good, bro.
House Representative.
House of Representatives. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on. And this has been a good conversation. We'll continue, and as it progresses, certainly keep us apprised. You are no stranger here to Boston Praise Radio and TV Network.
No, I'm not. I also got to thank you, because like Repost Bowling, I was one time, Alan was like one or two people that I knew had a kind of medical issues in my medical background as a CNA. They kept calling, John, can you come over and help me and take care of me?
No worries.
But I had to really thank you for like repostponing and giving me a chance to come out here.
Of course, it's my pleasure. No, thank you for taking the time, and thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for always being engaged. The most important part of this platform is you, because we bring the candidates on to engage you,
Right.
our listening and our viewing audience. So I appreciate you, Sister Michelle, for being tuned in and your commentary, and all those who are tuned in. And again, we look forward to being in communication. And as this progresses, we're still waiting to get the go-ahead to be able to bring in elected officials, never mind those who are running for office with us behind the wall. But that's something that we've done in the past, and right now there's a lot of focus on the House of Correction because of obviously what's going on there. So they put the brakes on us being able to bring in elected officials and or candidates.
Yes, and I mean, it's kind of embarrassing when that's something that happens and it gets publicized, and it's like they should have been all over it. They should have been like this huge friendly. Everyone should have been jumping on that like right then and then when it happened, not this kind of like, oh, we need to stall because we need to get our little press releases and all this stuff. But this is like, should have been handled as soon as someone loses their life and they're behind a situation or the institution. It should never happened, because as someone who's worked in the hospital, it's just like it would never really. I would be dragged into an office right now. I would be investigated like that.
I mean, it's two totally different worlds when you're talking about those who are behind the wall, which is why I do what I do, and our efforts to be able to go behind the wall, because quite candidly, there's so much we have to push through to go into that place to be able to shine the light and give hope.
And I appreciate that, because we wouldn't even know that if someone didn't report it. We need individuals. This is why we need accurate reporting from our journalists.
And that's why we need places like Boston Praise Radio and TV Network, right? That's independent voices, that's nonpartisan.